Before we get into today's show, let me tell you about the latest deal from Mike Lindell, MyPillow. Once again, the big box stores have canceled their orders simply because they don't agree with Mike Lindell's politics. They don't like it because he supports President Trump. Well, he's going to pass that savings on to you. No more middleman. And boy, does he have some great deals on the Giza Dream Sheets and the Percal bed sheets. Listen to this. Giza Dream Queen Size, normally $139.98. Your wholesale price, $69.99 when you use promo code Joey. King size, only $79.99. The Percal Queen Size, normally $89.98. Your wholesale price, $29.98 when you use promo code Joey. Just call 1-800-893-4059 or go to mypillow.com. Always use promo code Joey. Free shipping options available. This allotment's not going to last very long. When they're gone, they're gone. mypillow.com. Promo code Joey. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. Welcome in on this Monday, Labor Day. Hope you have a great day planned for you and your family. You're going to be able to take some time off. Here's what we're going to be talking about today. President Trump dropped a bombshell over the weekend as he declared on Truth Social that he will sign an executive order requiring voter ID in every election across the country. As you can imagine, the left is losing their mind, and some Republicans too. This Labor Day weekend, Americans will be paying the lowest gas prices in 5 years. That's right. According to GasBuddy, the national average is projected at $3.15 a gallon. That's the cheapest Labor Day gas since 2020, when the pandemic had everything shut down and hardly anybody was traveling. Every day I invite you to grab your first cup of coffee and join me for the show. Turns out I've been offering some pretty good advice. A brand new study says that, yes, that first cup of coffee that you're sipping, maybe right now, maybe on your way to work, maybe sitting at the kitchen table, really doesn't matter where you're drinking it. It's going to make you happier. And even more so if you add a little common sense radio and podcasting to it. We'll talk about that too. And as we celebrate Labor Day, we'll take a few minutes and pause and reflect on just what Labor Day is all about.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but, they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
Folks, President Donald Trump just dropped a late night announcement that is sending shockwaves through Washington as we headed into Labor Day. On Truth Social, he said, plain and simple, that he's going to sign a new executive order requiring voter ID in every election across the country. Here's what he wrote. Voter ID must be part of every single vote. No exceptions, in all caps. I'll be doing an executive order to that end. Also, no mail-in voting except for those that are very ill and the faraway military. Use paper ballots only. Now, that's vintage Trump. Straightforward, no Washington word salad, just clear, decisive, common sense. Or at least that's what you and I think about it. But, of course, the political and the legal establishment is already howling. You see, Trump has tried something like this before. Earlier this year, he signed a wider executive order on election integrity, and a Clinton-appointed judge in D.C., Colleen Collar-Cotley, is that right? Yeah, Collar-Cotley, struck down the voter ID portion. She said the president didn't have the authority because the Constitution gives states and Congress the power to regulate elections. Her ruling basically said, hey, Congress is already debating election reform, so the president can't short-circuit that with an executive order. And you know what? Technically, she's probably right about where the authority lies. Article 1 of the Constitution gives states the primary role in running elections. Congress has some power to regulate federal elections, but the executive branch, probably not much, which means no matter how much common sense this voter ID idea has, the swamp's going to fight it tooth and nail to block it. You would think that we wouldn't have to fight for election integrity. You would think that it wouldn't even be a debate to require people to show a voter ID when they cast a very important vote, one of our sacred rights. Now, here's the part that really just kind of drives me crazy. We're told constantly that voter ID is somehow controversial, somehow discriminatory, somehow racist. You've heard the talking points. It disenfranchises people. It's unnecessary. It's unfair. But then you look at the actual polling. Gallup, not Rasmussen, not some conservative outlet, but Gallup did a poll right before the 2024 elections last year. Guess what they found? 84% of Americans support requiring voter ID. 84%. That's not just Republicans. That's Democrats, independents, everyone. That's Americans who vote because we take our voting seriously. And everyone thinks that you should have to prove who you say you are in order to vote. Now, when they broke it down by party, 67% of Democrats support voter ID. Let me repeat that. 2 out of 3 Democrats think that you should have to show your ID. Independents, even higher, 84%. Republicans, a whopping 98% of Republicans support voter ID. I don't know where the other 2% are. And it's not just voter ID. When asked if people should have to show proof of citizenship to register to vote, 83% of Americans said yes. Again, that's just common sense. Why would you not want to make sure that only citizens are voting in American elections? It's pretty much a no-brainer, right? So think about this. In an era where we can't agree on the weather, 84% of the country agrees on voter ID. That's more unity than you'll find on almost any other issue. Yet Washington elites, judges, activist groups, left-wing political machine tell us we can't have it. Now, because voter ID threatens their power, it closes loopholes, it makes fraud harder, and the dirty little secret is the left has always thrived on a system that's loose, messy, and wide open to abuse. That's why they oppose it. That's the real reason voter ID is opposed. Think about it. You need an ID to fly. You need an ID to cash a check. You need an ID to buy alcohol, to drive a car, to check into a hotel, even get into some government buildings. And nobody calls those things racist. Nobody thinks you're discriminating against people for that. But suddenly, when it comes to voting, the most sacred act in a republic, we're told it's oppressive to ask someone to prove they are who they say they are. That is just simply absurd. And deep down, most Americans know it's absurd. That's why 84% support it. 84%. Now, President Trump knows the courts are against him on this. He knows the media will spin it as authoritarianism. He knows the Democrats will sue in every district court that they can find. But here's the thing. And he's not just trying to win a legal battle. He's trying to force the issue into the national conversation. He's saying, this is the line in the sand. I'm drawing it. Let's fight over this. You want election integrity. You want people to trust the results. Start with voter ID, paper ballots, and limit mail-in voting. That's how we get people to trust the results. And folks, he's right. Every time we have chaos after an election, every time we see ballot drop boxes stuffed at midnight or machines breaking down or counties taking weeks to count votes, people lose faith in the system. It's just that simple. And when people lose faith in elections, democracy itself starts to fall apart. It starts to crumble. Let's go back to Judge Kohler-Kotelly. She ruled that Trump doesn't have the authority by executive order. And that's probably true under our current system. But you know what else is true? States do have that authority, and Congress could step in and set national standards. So the real question is, why haven't they? What's taking so long? We have a Republican majority, and on an issue, again, where 84% of Americans want voter ID, there's some Democrats, I got to believe, would support this as well. Again, if 84% of Americans want voter ID, do we not have a simple federal law? Can we not just pass a simple federal law requiring it? Why, when Republicans control Congress and the White House, can't we push this through? Well, this is something that we have to make sure that Republicans understand. This is an issue that we want to prioritize, because if they'll act, And had they acted already, we wouldn't be relying on President Trump's executive orders. This is about more than one executive order. This is about trust. If Americans don't trust elections, everything else falls apart. That's what we have to remember. And polls show that a majority of Republicans and a large chunk of independents don't trust the 2020 results still. That mistrust bleeds into every new election. The fastest, simply, most common sense way to restore trust is voter ID. Show your ID, get your ballot, cast your vote. That's how it works in most democracies around the world, and nobody screams about disenfranchisement in those places. What is wrong with us? Let's demand that we get this once and for all. America is in a health crisis, and by America, not just strangers across the country. It's personal. Me, you, friends, and family. And a major cause? Excess weight. Joey Hudson here. The solution isn't expensive shots like Ozempic. It's learning how to eat and think about food differently, and that's what PhD Weight Loss does. Their clients lose up to a third of their body weight, no drugs, just real food, behavioral coaching, and proven science to turn your body into a fat-burning machine. Sure, you could spend up to $20,000 a year on injections that burn muscle, not fat, and come with risks like pancreatitis or bowel blockages, only to gain it all back. PhD helps your body naturally produce weight loss hormones like GLP-1s. No shortcuts, just results that last. Already on Ozempic? Dr. Ashley Lucas and her team will help you safely transition off and keep losing weight. Let's make America healthy again. Call 864-644-1900. That's 864-644-1900 or visit myphdweightloss.com. As we gather on this first Monday in September, let's take a few minutes and reflect on why we pause as a nation to celebrate Labor Day. It's a holiday we sometimes take for granted. It's a long weekend. We talk about the official end of summer. One more cookout with the family before fall routine set in. But Labor Day is more than a calendar marker, or at least it should be. Labor Day is deeply woven into the American story. A day that reminds us of the dignity of hard work, the contributions of the American worker, and the values that have built this nation. When we think about the strength of America, our economic power, our global leadership, our communities that thrive from coast to coast, none of that exists without the men and women who get up every single morning, punch the clock, and give their best day in and day out. Whether it's the factory worker on the assembly line, the farmer up before dawn in the fields, the teacher in the classroom, the small business owner unlocking the door, or the first responder answering the call to keep our community safe. Labor Day is a time to say, we see you, we appreciate you, and we honor your work. Now, to understand why this holiday exists, let's go back to the history. 1800s, America was booming. The Industrial Revolution was transforming the nation. Railroads stretched across the land, factories roared to life, and cities grew at lightning speed. But along with that progress came grueling hours, unsafe working conditions, and a workforce often taken for granted, taken advantage of, actually. In the middle of that tension, workers began to stand together, demanding recognition and fair treatment. In 1894, following years of strikes and protests, Congress made the first Monday in September a federal holiday, that day that we now recognize as Labor Day. It was a way of saying we honor the men and women whose hands and backs built this country. It's worth noting that America chose September, not May, as some European nations did with May Day. To keep our celebration uniquely American, we decided to do it in the fall. From the very beginning, Labor Day has been about American ingenuity, American grit, and the belief that honest work is honorable work. Nothing wrong with a good day's hard work. As you know, when you think about it, the idea of work being something sacred is deeply rooted in our faith and in our values. From the very beginning of Scripture, we see God himself as a worker, creating, shaping, ordering the world. And he gave Adam the task of tending the garden. Work was never meant to be a curse. It was meant to be to give each individual meaning, purpose, dignity to our lives. Here in America, we've carried that principle forward. We've always believed that work is more than just a paycheck. It's a calling. It's a way to provide for our family, serve our neighbors, and contribute to something bigger than ourselves. That's what Labor Day is really all about. Not just the job that we do, but the value of human effort itself, the value that each of us contribute to whatever organization we work with. Fast forward to today. The American worker is still the backbone of this nation. No doubt about it. From truck drivers who keep our shelves stocked, to nurses who care for us, to entrepreneurs taking risks to create jobs, we owe so much to the people whose everyday efforts rarely make headlines, but whose work keeps this great country of ours moving, keeps us running, keeps us moving forward. And let's be honest here. This isn't always easy. Families are facing high cost of living, wages that don't always stretch as far as they should, and uncertainty about the economy. Yet, despite all of that, American workers keep showing up day after day. They keep adapting. They keep creating. They keep pushing forward. They persevere. That resilience, that drive, that determination, that's what makes America exceptional and always has and always will. That's what makes us stand out among the rest of the world. So, yes, today may mean hot dogs on the grill, college football kicking off over the weekend, kids running through the yard, and that's a good thing. That's all great. Americans deserve a day of rest, of recreation, of spending the day with our family. But as we pause, let's not forget why this holiday matters. It's not just about leisure. It's about gratitude. Gratitude for what we've achieved, gratitude for what we've become, gratitude for where we're headed. Gratitude for the men and women who built our roads and bridges. Gratitude for the soldiers, the sailors, the airmen, and Marines whose labor of service keeps us free. Gratitude for the innovators whose ideas become companies that employ millions. Gratitude for every parent who works long hours to give their kids a shot at a better life. When we stop and think about it, we realize Labor Day isn't just about them. It's about us. It's about all of us together forming one great American workforce. Now, let me add this. From a conservative perspective, Labor Day isn't just about honoring workers. It's about defending the principles that allow workers to thrive. The free markets, the limited government, the dignity of the individual, and the belief that you should be able to keep more of what you earn. And that's something that you and I work hard for every single day as well. President Ronald Reagan once said, "The best social program is a job." And he was right. Work lifts people out of poverty. Work gives people independence. Work preserves human dignity. And when government policies get in the way, whether through excessive regulation, crushing taxes, or reckless spending that drives inflation, it hurts workers the most. So on this Labor Day, let's recommit ourselves to policies that unleash the American worker, that reward hard work, and expand opportunity for every citizen willing to put in the effort. Let's encourage everyone, each other, to just take a moment today, maybe before you dig into that barbecue plate, and thank everyone around your area, people that you work with, friends, family, your church friends. Thank them for their work. Thank the police officer patrolling your street. Thank the cashier at the grocery store. Thank the farmer who raised the food that you're going to put on the table today. Maybe even thank yourself for the sacrifices that you've made, the long hours that you put in, and the dedication that you've shown. Labor Day is a celebration of each of you, of each of us, of America. And as long as Americans continue to value hard work, we'll continue to be the greatest nation on earth. So enjoy today. Enjoy it with your family. Enjoy it with your friends. Rest, laugh, eat. Eat lots of stuff. Watch some football. Play golf. Whatever it is you enjoy, do that today. But above all, remember while we pause. Labor Day isn't just about a 3-day weekend. It's about honoring the men and women who built this country, who sustained this country, and who remind us that the American dream is alive and well in the sweat and sacrifice of everyday people. God bless the American worker. God bless you and your family this Labor Day, and may God always bless the United States of America. While we're talking about the greatness of Labor Day weekend, of course, a lot of people traveled this weekend. Here's some great news, and it's the kind that hits you right where it counts in your wallet. This Labor Day weekend, Americans will be paying the lowest gas prices in 5 years. That's right. According to GasBuddy, The national average is projected at $3.15 a gallon. That's the cheapest Labor Day gas since 2020, when the pandemic had everything shut down and hardly anybody was traveling anyway. Now, this year is different. People are back on the roads. Families are traveling. America's economy is moving, and yet prices are falling, not climbing. Why is that? Well, the White House put it bluntly. President Trump's energy policies, just that simple. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said it clearly to Fox News. Thanks to President Trump fully unleashing American energy dominance, gas prices this summer are at 5-year lows and families are saving significant money at the pump. President Trump ended Joe Biden's Green New Scam policies and is making America affordable again. Now, again, that's a direct quote from the White House Press Secretary, Caroline Leavitt, and she's right. Let's remember where we were under Joe Biden. Remember 2022? Gas prices hit record highs that year. In some parts of California, people were paying $7 a gallon. The Biden administration blamed Putin's price hike. They blamed oil companies. They blamed everything except their own radical green policies that restricted drilling, that shut down pipelines, that made America dependent on foreign oil again. Joe Biden had no sense of urgency to try to make us independent. He wanted us to be dependent on foreign sources of oil because he was all about what the Green New Energy lobby had told him we needed to do. Now, of course, we all know that Joe Biden didn't really understand it. He didn't really understand what was happening. He was just doing what the special interest was telling him to do, what he had promised he would do if elected. Now, look at us today. Under another Donald Trump administration, we've gone back to the basics. Drill here, we produce here, we keep costs low, and the results speak for themselves. Gas at $3.15 and falling. It's just that simple. Donald Trump promised this during the presidential campaign last year. He promised it would happen, and it happened pretty quickly, didn't it? For comparison, last year at Labor Day under Joe Biden, the national average was $3.29. The year before, $3.77. And 2 years before that, over $5 in some places. Americans, we can't forget that. When they start trying to sell us this Green New Deal garbage again, when they start talking about electric vehicles and the mandate to buy electric vehicles, when they stop allowing American companies to drill on American soil, we have to stand up and say, we know where it took us last time. We're not going back there again. Now, this isn't just about saving a few bucks when you fill up before the beach trip this weekend. This is about energy dominance. Trump's long-term strategy. Energy Secretary Chris Wright explained it. More American energy means lower cost, more jobs, and more prosperity. Simple, common sense. When you unleash U.S. production, prices drop. Families save, and we're not at the mercy of foreign powers. That's as important as anything. When we don't have to rely on a foreign country for our source of oil, we all win. We all win, right? That's not just good economics. That's good national security policy. Think about it. When America produces its own energy, we don't have to bow to OPEC. We don't have to beg Saudi Arabia to pump more oil. We don't have to panic every time Russia flexes its muscles. We control our own destiny, and that makes America stronger. That makes us all sleep a little better at night. But let's bring it down to the kitchen table, because that's where it really gets your attention. That's where it really matters to most of us. For a working mom or dad, gas prices are one of the most visible signs of where the economy is working. You can't hide them. They're on every street corner. They're posted on everywhere you purchase gas. And when prices spike, families feel it immediately. That summer road trip, maybe cancel, or maybe cut closer to home. That commute to work, twice as expensive. That family budget, squeezed. Every item that we purchase from the shelves of a grocery store is affected because it's been on a truck. Some trucker had to buy diesel to get it there. Now, when prices come down, families feel relief just as quickly. At $3.15 a gallon, the average American filling a 15-gallon tank is saving about $10 compared to 2 years ago. For families who drive multiple vehicles and commute long distances, that adds up to hundreds of dollars every single month. Hundreds of dollars that they can spend on other things that they want to spend it on. And on this Labor Day, a holiday meant to honor working Americans, it's fitting that workers finally get a break at the pump, right? And here's more good news. GasBuddy's Patrick DeHaan says that prices may fall even further. Demand usually dips after Labor Day as summer travel winds down. He believes the national average could drop below $3 a gallon sometime in September. Below $3 a gallon. The Democrats told us we may never see that again. Joe Biden wanted us to think that $3, $4, $5 a gallon gas was going to be common, that it was going to be day-to-day life, and that's why he was forcing us to think that we needed to start looking at buying an electric vehicle. Imagine that. Regular gas in the $2 again, like it was in Trump 1.0. That's something we haven't seen in a while. Now, to be fair, there are risks. Hurricane season could disrupt refineries. We've seen that happen. Global trade tensions could flare up. And, of course, the war in Ukraine continues to shake global markets. But for now, the trend is clear. Energy is cheaper because America is producing again. It's just that simple. Now, let's not kid ourselves. The left is not happy about this. Democrats hate this. The radical green crowd, they want higher gas prices. They say it openly. They believe expensive gas will force you and me to buy into electric cars, to use public transit, or just drive less, because that's what they want. They don't want us out driving our own vehicle. Joe Biden literally said it during his campaign, that he wanted to transition away from fossil fuels. He said it over and over. Kamala Harris repeated it. That's part of the Democrat platform. And for 2 years, Joe Biden governed like he meant it. The result, Americans crushed by record gas prices and inflation. We saw it. We're coming out of it. President Trump reversed, of course. He called Biden's policies a scam. He tore up regulations. He told oil and gas producers, go for it. Drill, baby, drill. And look what happened. Again, 5 5-year lows at the pump. That's the choice in front of us, folks. Energy independence or energy dependence. Cheap gas or expensive gas. Prosperity or pain. Now, let's step back, because the story isn't just about gas. It's about philosophy. Conservatives believe in unleashing American potential, letting our workers, our producers, our oil companies, our entrepreneurs do what they do best. When we do, prices fall, jobs rise, families benefit. Liberals, the left, they believe in controlling, restricting, and engineering outcomes from Washington. And every time they do, like we've done these past few years, we pay the price. Higher cost, lower wages, less freedom. Gas prices are just the most obvious example because you see them every day. But it's the same story with food, with housing, with electricity, you name it. And a lot of those things are still high, folks. They're still expensive because we haven't had enough time yet for them to start coming down. But as we get further into Trump 2.0, and as we have time for these fuel prices to continue on the downward trend, we're going to see all of those things that are affected by fuel prices. We're going to see them start to be affected too. They're going to start coming down. Regulation and restriction drives prices up. Freedom and production drives prices down. It's a very simple economic policy. We've seen it happen before. It will happen again. So this Labor Day, while you're grilling out using that propane gas, or maybe you use charcoal, maybe you have that big green egg, while you're heading to the lake or out on the boat or whatever it is you do, while you're filling up your car for that family road trip, take a moment to notice the price at the pump. $3.15 or less, the lowest in 5 years. And remember why? Not because of luck, not because of Putin, not because of OPEC, but because America finally has leadership that understands energy is the backbone of prosperity. President Trump said he'd make America energy dominant again, and this weekend, you save a few extra bucks on gas, you're seeing the results firsthand. We have to say, make America great again. Your comments are welcome on the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of the Furman Ford text line, it's never been more important to support locally run businesses owned by people who actually live here in the upstate. Let me take a minute to talk with you about our friends at Furman Ford. If you're looking for a new vehicle, maybe a great pre-owned vehicle, one you can trust, or maybe you're looking to order that special vehicle. Either way, if you want a new one, a brand new one, or a pre-owned that you can trust, the folks at Furman Ford, they're there to help you. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line, because every single transaction is important to them. Jim Furman, Matthew Furman. They do business the right way. When you stop by, when you give them a call, or maybe when you just send them a quick email, you're always going to have access to a member of the Furman Ford family. And by the way, they also offer great service, and you're not going to have to wait weeks and weeks to get it done. And you do not have had to purchase your vehicle at Furman Ford. Doesn't even have to be a Ford. They service all makes and models. Visit my friends at Furman Ford online at furmanford.com, furmanford.com. Every morning, I invite you to get that first cup of coffee, and let's kick off the day together. Well, here's some news that might actually make your morning routine taste even better. A brand new study says that, yes, that first cup of coffee that you're sipping, maybe right now, maybe on your way to work, maybe sitting at your kitchen table, wherever, sitting out by the lake, sitting out in your bass boat, wherever you have that first cup of coffee, listening to your radio, to a podcast, which is even more healthier, by the way. It really does make you happier. Not just more awake, not just less cranky, but actually happier. The study was a collaboration between the University of Warwick over in the UK and Bielefeld University in Germany. It followed 200 young adults over 4 weeks, and get this, they had to log their moods 7 times a day on their phones. 7 times. So not only were these folks drinking a lot of coffee, they were probably sick of being texted about how they felt about it. But here's what the researchers found. When people had coffee or tea within the first 2.5 hours of waking up, their moods improved. They were happier. They were more enthusiastic. They had more energy. In other words, it's not just in your head when you say, I can't start my day until I've had my coffee. Science just backed that up for you. Science says, yes, you do feel better when you've had that first cup of coffee. So why does this happen? Well, the sciencey part is pretty simple. Caffeine blocks certain receptors in your brain. Normally, these receptors make you feel drowsy. When caffeine blocks it, dopamine activity goes up. And dopamine, as you know, is the feel-good chemical. Dopamine is what we want more of. So yes, your morning brew literally helps your brain produce more happy signals. It's not magic, it's chemistry. Now, here's what's interesting. The researchers thought that maybe this would only help people who are already caffeine addicts, folks who wake up cranky because they're in withdrawal and then perk up after that first hit. Well, no. They found this effect across the board. Coffee boosted mood even for people who weren't regular caffeine drinkers. And here's the shocker. Even anxiety-prone participants, people who usually overthink, who get negative thoughts spiraling, they actually reported fewer negative thoughts after coffee. Now, that's huge, folks. That's big. Now, some experts say it's not just the caffeine. It's the ritual. A nutritionist here in the U.S., Carrie Lupoli, says, she put it perfectly. She said, a morning cup of coffee engages all the senses and signals to the brain that the day is beginning. So it's kind of wake up. It's time to feel good. We're going to get another day started. Think about it. The smell, the sound of the machine or the Keurig, the warmth of the cup in your hand, that first sip. It's a brand new day. It's a new beginning. It's a full body signal to your brain that we're awake, we're starting the day. And here's the kicker. Lupoli said that even when she tried decaf, she still felt the same mental boost. Why? Because the habit itself is comforting. It's grounding. It's a little slice of order in a chaotic world, something you have control over. You have control over that first cup of coffee. That's why so many of us love coffee shops. It's not just about the caffeine. It's about the experience, the barista calling your name, the clicking of the cups, the smell of the roasted beans. It's sort of a ritual. It's part of our morning routine. Now, over on the Eastern medicine side of things, a doctor of Chinese medicine named Janelle Kim told Fox News that in her tradition, caffeine disperses qi, which means it gives you energy. But, and this is important, too much of it drains your reserves. Basically, 1 or 2 cups is supportive. 5, 6, 7 cups, that's not helping so much anymore. That's hurting you. And I think we all know this from experience, don't we? 1 or 2 cups, great. By cup number 5, you're sweating, your hands are shaking, and you're wondering why your neighbor's mailbox looks suspicious and what those funny noises are. Balance, folks, like anything else in our life, balance is the key. So what does this mean? Well, for one thing, every day that I've been telling you to get that first cup of coffee and join me, I've been encouraging you to practice better health. I've been helping you start your day off on a happy note. Because again, they didn't test radio or podcast in here, but I got a feeling when you add radio and podcast to that first cup of coffee, you're going to feel even better, right? If you're enjoying that morning cup of coffee right now, don't feel guilty. Don't buy into every scare headline about coffee being terrible for you. In moderation, it not only wakes you up, it makes you happier. And let's be honest, in today's world, we could all use a little more happiness, couldn't we? Between the nonstop political chaos, the cost of groceries, and the news cycle that feels like a fire hose of negativity, if a hot cup of coffee can put a smile on your face for a few hours, that is a gift. More power to you. It also shows something bigger. Human beings need rituals. We need routine. We need some order in our lives, whether it's coffee in the morning, prayer before bed, family dinner at the table. We're wired to find comfort and strength in our routine. They give our life structure. They set the tone for the day, just like turning that radio on or starting that podcast. That's why even folks who switch to decaf often say they still love it. It's not just the caffeine, it's the act of doing it. It's saying to your brain, today starts now, let's go, let's get ready. Now, let me connect this to something a little bit broader too, because I think that there's a lesson here. We live in a culture that often overcomplicates things. Have you noticed that? We've got apps and programs and endless experts telling us a secret to happiness is this new gadget, this new subscription, this new diet. Well, this study shows us is that sometimes happiness can just be simple. Sometimes it's as simple as a hot cup of coffee first thing in the morning. Don't have to put a lot into it. Common sense, small routines, daily discipline. That's what keeps people grounded. That's what builds resilience. And frankly, that's the kind of approach we need more of in this country, right? Less chaos, more calm, less chasing after the next big new thing, more appreciation for the small things that are working for us. Now, don't misunderstand me. Coffee's not a miracle drug. Again, drink too much of it, you're going to be jittery, you're going to be anxious, unable to sleep. That's not happiness, that's misery. But 1 or 2 cups, science now proves it, science says it, it's going to give you that enthusiasm, the alertness, and a bump in your mood. And experience says it gives you a moment of peace, a familiar ritual, and maybe even a reason to smile at the very beginning of your day. So here's my advice. Tomorrow morning, when you pour that cup, don't just slam it down like it's fuel and you're in a hurry. Take a time and taste it. Enjoy the feeling. Enjoy the ritual. Take a second. Breathe it. Enjoy it. Know that science that just gave you permission to smile that you're drinking it. Because in a world where bad news is everywhere, it turns out happiness might just be waiting in your coffee cup.
That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined my mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, join me on my YouTube channel. Be sure and like, comment, and subscribe. Just search for Joey Hudson. As always, thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Do me a favor and forward this episode to a few friends. Just click on the share button and send to your contacts. We need to build an army of conservatives to win our country back, and we can do that by continuing to share the truth with our friends and family. Keep those comments coming via the Furman Ford text line 864-477-JOEY. Email to joey@joeyhudson.com, and I love your messages on the MyPillow message line. Again, that's 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Be sure and take advantage of the MyPillow special, just $14.88 on the standard MyPillows when you use promo code Joey. Order online at mypillow.com or call 800-893-4053. We're back again tomorrow and hope you'll plan to join us. Until then, remember, God's got this. He's still in control.